This is Business Insider and Souk News, your go-to place for the latest global business developments. I am Olaoluwa, where from business trends to market development and in-depth analysis, I am set to unravel insights that can shape your business decisions positively. So before we get to the analysis part where we get to talk about these things, let's first of all bring you the business update. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Business News on Business Insight and Souk News. I am Olaoluwa Awe. On the list of the updates we have today, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC of Nigeria, is poised to take action against point-of-sale POS agents who have increased transaction charges nationwide. The Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the FCCPC, Babatunde Irukera, confirmed the impending order stating that the aim is to protect consumers from unjustified price hikes and ensure fair competition in the market. Mr. Irukera explained that the FCCPC initially issued an advisory to the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria, AMBAN, regarding the transaction charge hike, but the advisory was disregarded. As a result, the FCCPC is now prepared to enforce more definitive measures to address the issue. This move comes after the FCCPC announced earlier in the month that it was investigating attempts at price fixing by POS agents and would impose sanctions if found guilty. The Commission had also warned AMBAN to refrain from fixing POS prices. But despite objections from various stakeholders, AMBAN proceeded with the implementation of the increased transaction charges on July 17, 2023. With the FCCP's forthcoming order, POS agents may face consequences for their actions in rising transaction fees. Away from that, Fidelity Bank PLC has recently unveiled its plans to raise additional capital as part of a strategy to fuel future growth. The bank made this exciting announcement through a press release on the Nigerian Exchange Limited. According to the statement released by Fidelity Bank's Company Secretary Ezinwa Onigboje, the bank aims to raise its share capital to an impressive 22.60 billion naira. To achieve this, Fidelity Bank intends to use a combination of two financing options of a public offer and rights issue. The bank current share price of 7.3 naira is projected to sell, or is going to lead to a new share price through the public offer, and the rights issued could potentially yield the bank a significant capital infusion of about 96.3 billion naira. This fresh injection of funds will empower Fidelity Bank to undertake strategic initiatives and enhance its competitiveness in the dynamic banking sector. Away from that, Swiss food company Nestle has announced its commitment to locally sourcing over 40% of raw materials for a new processing plant in South Africa. This move is aimed at offsetting supply chain challenges and reducing costs. The processing unit dedicated to the popular coffee brand Nescafe was inaugurated at the factory in Hammanskraal near Pretoria as Nestle seeks to meet the growing demand for coffee consumption in South Africa. The decision to increase local raw material sourcing aligns with Nestle's strategy to reduce foreign exchange exposure, particularly in African countries like Nigeria. In South Africa, food producers have faced challenges due to prolonged power cuts, forcing them to rely on expensive diesel generators and a sharp decline in the domestic currency, leading to higher import costs. Now, US-based company AeroFarms, a vertical farming company, once seen as pioneers in the industry, are facing economic challenges. The company recently filed for bankruptcy protection alongside others were Agricole, Fifth Season, Iron Ox, and Infam. They have also encountered financial difficulties resulting in closures and layoffs. Chief Operating Officer at Intelligent Growth Solutions, Andre Lloyd, attributed this downturn in the industry to wrong choice of crops, enormous concentration on leafy greens, and the use of robots to tend baby plants. McGill University lecturer Mark Lefsrud argues that the excess use of technology in farming stands as a major challenge for the industry, adding that farming means giving constant attention to living things and not the use of gadgets in plans to roll up profits. Now, the United Kingdom's UK automotive industry is about to experience a boost, with Jaguar Land Rover's parent company, Tata, set to establish its flagship electric car battery factory in the UK, estimated to worth over £4 billion, marking a significant investment in the country's automotive sector since the 1980s when Nissan arrived. The new plant, located in Somerset near Bridgewater, is anticipated to create around 4,000 jobs in the UK and numerous additional positions within the broader supply chain. UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak welcomed the development, foreseeing its positive impact on the economy, with jobs creation in the battery technology sector and related supply chain. Tata's decision to establish the battery plant represents its first manufacturing site outside of India. The move is expected to accelerate the shift towards electric vehicle production in the UK amidst the ongoing global transition to zero-emission vehicles. And scheduled to be one of Europe's largest gigafactories, the facility will produce batteries for Jaguar Land Rover vehicles, including the Range Rover, Defender and Jaguar brands. The company also intends to supply batteries to other car manufacturers. Production is slated to begin in 2026, driving the transition from traditional petrol and diesel vehicles to electric ones in the UK car manufacturing sector. Now, America, in its bid to crack down on price fixing in food and agricultural sector, has expanded its war on junk fees to the rental housing market and unveiled draft merger guidelines as part of a move to help U.S. consumers. President Joe Biden discussed the latest actions with cabinet members at the fifth meeting of his competition council. He explained the latest measures in a series of fact sheets as it marks the second anniversary of the Biden executive order that created council and launched a government attack on anti-competitive practices. He said 40 years of misguided economic philosophies had caused rising concentration in 3/4 of the U.S. industry, costing an average household about $5,000 a year in higher prices and lower wages. Speaking on the development, the newly appointed Director of Competition Council Policy at the National Economic Council, NEC, Hanan Gardin Mohit, said the Biden administration will use every tool available to them to address the anti-competitive practices. Industries in the U.S., however, have accused the Biden administration of regulatory overreach following the support of the junk fee crackdown, or the support the junk fee crackdown had enjoyed from both parties. In the same vein, a former Consumer Financial Protection Bureau official said the Biden administration's push for more competition was focused on creating more opportunities for small firms and entrepreneurs. And that's the business update on Business Insights. Now we go to the market trend. We'll be right back. Now on market trends, the Nigerian Stock Exchange NGX at the close of trading on the 19th of July 2023 noted a total of 473 million shares exchanged in 7,403 transactions, representing a market value of 10 billion naira compared to the previous trade. The data indicates a significant decline of 46% in trading volume, a substantial 76% decrease in turnover, and a 17% drop in the number of deals conducted. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange stands at 34.7 trillion naira. 115 equities were involved in trading, with 24 gainers and 27 losers. The top gainer was Honeywell Flour Mill, and a notable 10% increase in share price, closing at 3.63 naira per share, followed by Eternal 9.98%, Academy Press 9.95%, Skyway Aviation Handling Co. 9.83%. On the losing end, where Gergo Power, ranked as the biggest loser, experienced a 10% decrease in share price, settling at 315.00 naira per share, followed by Prestige Assurance Company, a 10% loss, FTN Cocoa Processors 9.61% loss, and Linkage Assurance 9.09% reduction in share price. Among the most actively traded stocks, Japan Gold and Ventures took the lead with a volume of 78 million shares, followed by FCMB Group 36.6 million shares, Sterling Bank 31.2 million shares, and Dangote Sugar Refinery 30.7 million shares. And still in Africa, the Nairobi Securities Exchange, NSE, closed with a total of 3.1 million shares traded in 798 transactions, amounting to a market value of 58 million Kenyan shillings compared to the previous trading day. Data reveals a significant decline of 72% in trading volume, a substantial 78% decrease in turnover, and a 25% reduction in the number of deals conducted. The current market capitalization of the Nairobi Securities Exchange stands at 1.74 trillion Kenyan shillings. Similarly, at the end of the trading day on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, ZSE, a total of 2.7 million shares were traded, which corresponded to a market value of 887 million Zimbabwean dollars. Compared to the previous ZSE trading day, data indicates a significant decline of 67% in trading volume and a notable 64% decrease in turnover. The current market capitalization of the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange is 10.6 trillion Zimbabwean dollars. Away from Africa, Nasdaq 100 index, also known as the NDX, used to keep track of the performance of the top 100 non-financial companies that are listed on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange, has a current value of 15,911.66 points. It increased by 70.31 points, which is about 0.44% higher compared to the previous day's value. And away from that, we'll talk about the S&P 500 index, also referred to as INX, a widely followed indicator that measures the performance of the 500 largest publicly traded companies in the United States. The current value of the index is 4,574.61. It increased by 19.63 points, which is approximately 0.43% higher compared to the previous day's value. This means that the overall value of the top 500 companies' stock in the U.S. market has risen modestly during the current trading session. And now let's discuss the FTSE 100 index, which represents the top 100 companies in Great Britain. Closing trade at 7,587.29 points. It went down by 133.60 points, which is a decrease of 1.79%. This indicates a slight decline in the overall value of the FTSE 100 index. Now to DAX index, which represents the top 30 companies in Germany. On July 19, the DAX closed at 16,234.42 points. It went down by 108.93 points, which is a decrease of 0.68%, showing a downward trend in the overall value of the DAX index. And now to the commodity markets. The price of gold is currently at $1,973.55 US per troy. Also, the price of silver is currently at $25.1 US per troy ounce, and Brent crude is currently selling at $80.09 US per barrel. Additionally, cocoa currently trades at 3,281.10 British pounds per ton, and wheat currently sells for 271.80 US cents per ton. And that concludes the news, the market trend. I am Olaoluwa Awe. Coming up next on Business Insights is the analysis on the recent report released by Dell Technologies, revealing that over 52% of the companies in Africa are not adequately equipped to handle large-scale cyber attacks. Now, the report presented in a forum held in Lagos in collaboration with CWG and Musumi to discuss strategies for mitigating the escalating spate of cyber attacks said many of them even go unreported. The study indicates that cyber attacks in Africa have witnessed a staggering 600% surge in the last 2 years, highlighting the urgency of the issue. Next is a deep conversation on the recent impact of cyber attacks on Nigerian and African businesses and the way forward, of course. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Business Insights and Souk News. Once again, I am Olaoluwa Awe. And before we get into today's discussion, let me quickly read this out to you. A report revealed that Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya are facing the highest online threats in the African continent, according to a Russian multinational cybersecurity and antivirus provider company called Kaspersky. And the three countries featured prominently in the global top 100 for online threats, adding that Nigeria currently ranks 50th worldwide for online threats. South Africa ranked 82nd and Kenya is the 35th on the global list. In fact, just recently, we also heard that the Senegal government websites, went offline, after, came back online after it went offline for a while, after a cyber attack paralyzed the network. Just recently, it was in the news. So cyber attacks and cybersecurity is a major issue we need to talk about in business of the world we have in today. So to that effect, I have in-house business analyst Ahmed Jayola ready to have an insightful conversation with me on that today. Welcome. Good morning.
Thank you.
Now, the smile is better today. I like it. Also joining us via Zoom is an information system and cybersecurity consultant, Princewell Okereke. Is Princewell on the line? Princewell, good morning if you're on the line. Okay, so Princewell will join us shortly. But Ahmed Jayola, help us make sense of it, because a good number of times when we talk about cyber attacks, you know, it seems rather abstract to a good number of small business owners. Maybe people who work in big companies know a little bit more about it, but help us make sense of it. What are the types of cyber attacks that we have, and why are these attacks even coming in the first place?
Okay, so I think it's best to start from what it means to have a cyber attack. A cyber attack is basically an attack, a software attack, basically. So you are on the internet, you're on your phone. As long as your phone or your devices are connected to the internet, it can be attacked. That is a cyber attack. Now, there are different kinds of attacks. There are, low-level attacks that just basically don't do anything much. You don't really see much happening, but it's doing a lot at the background, probably information gathering, unauthorized access to maybe your phone calls, or sometimes silent listening of your phone, of your conversations and all that, all the way to huge attacks where people are attacking the power grids of different countries, attacking the financial capitals of different countries. So the cyber attack awareness, shall I put it that way, usually varies based on the kind of companies we're talking about, or the kind of devices you are using, or the kind of setup that is integrated into the internet. So a cyber attack basically is an attack over the internet, and it can be for any and every reason. Someone can just say, I don't like your face, I want to attack you.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
That sounds really petty.
Yeah, very, very petty. Very, very petty. You will see attacks like in America some years ago, or some months ago, some student wrote a script to attack a girl that he has been, attracted to for a while, but didn't have the confidence to talk to, and got all the private pictures that she had and posted it on the school website.
Wow.
That's a cyber attack.
So, but why do these attackers go for businesses? Because they go for businesses, they go for government websites in particular. What do they really intend to gain? I understand that even hackers and cyber attackers, it's an industry on its own.
Yes.
They have schools. They have different experts in that area. So why do they go for businesses? What are they really looking for?
Okay, so information is power. Wherever you are, the number one thing that everyone that needs to control a people or control a person is information. The amount of information the person has over you determines the amount of leverage the person has over you. And in some cases, it's much more of the amount of access the person wants to have into your life. So you have a lot of financial attacks taking place, not because the person just needs the information from the financial sector, but the person is probably trying to hack their banking system. The person is trying to get some money out. And of course, where there's plenty money, you would always see plenty thieves. So you see a lot of variations. You have just email attacks. You have attacks as big as integrating itself with your local company antivirus. You have attacks of your Wi-Fi in the office, and all they are looking for is one account information here, one account information there. Some go as little as taking maybe like one kobo if it is a Nigerian attack. Some go as big as shutting down your entire account and just stealing your money. There is the POS cyber attack which happened recently.
Tell us more about that.
Okay, so the POS cyber attack that happened recently is, you know, should I call it a conglomerate? A conglomerate is a huge word. Like a group of boys, right, that basically are using the POS to hack people's accounts using their what do you call it, ATM cards. So you put your ATM card. So they have like, okay, so they have like different POSs registered. And in those POSs, they've already, you know, programmed it in such a way that there are some devices that they put on the face of the POS. We call them, what do you call it, mobile scanners. So you put your card in the POS, you know, type, it gives you your money, normal, but
it saves your information.
It saves your information. It captures your card information. So as soon as it captures your card information and the person has removed the card and given it to you and you have gone, the person just charges you for extra things like clothes, like shoes, like bags, and just transfers the money to some strange account. And then you start telling your bank, okay, so I didn't make this purchase, I did not make this trade, I did not do this deduction. And the bank, the best the bank can do is basically investigate. So they freeze your account and then they investigate the matter. But the truth is, most of the time, the boys are long gone. So, you know, and you have them happening in pockets or spaces. The biggest scare is attacks that you can't find. Attacks that you can trace are still good. At least you can still try putting some measures in place to stall them. But something you don't know, how do you stop it? You understand? So until the thing came out in public, everybody thought probably it was maybe someone was taking the ATM card, the cards and putting it in the ATMs, or somebody is using it online, not knowing that it was actually the POSs that they were using. So when it was discovered, there was a sweep, you know, and they discovered a few places where those ATMs were, the POSs were located. They tried rounding up the boys, but most of them got away.
In order to make this look as real as it is, I mean, cyber attacks in Africa, cyber attacks in Nigeria, we really need to review some of the recent ones we've experienced. I mean, the cyber attacks in businesses. And it's good that you already started on that path. I know that lately also a good number of people have scares, you know, about what website to sign my information to, especially my payment details, my card details, and all of those things.
Yes.
There was also a time where there was a scare that, you know, for example, there are e-aiding applications where you book for rides that save your account information so that you can pay in app and all of those things. I remember there was a time where there was a scare that one of the platforms here in Nigeria got hacked. You know, sometimes when you see some of those things on social media, you have to go verify because it would just be a scare.
Yes.
And you know, let's just review some of those things. They make it look as if somebody hacked the account and was coming for the payment details of people. Are those things even possible? Have you heard of such? Just help us understand how these things have happened over the years.
It happens every day. Every day. It's happening right now. The challenge is, like I said, how do you tackle something you don't know? So the government is trying to grapple with the magnitude of this. And in all honesty, the government is trying. The biggest challenge in every economy where there is a cyber attack is information. How do you know who is doing what? How do you trace? How do you find their locations? In Nigeria, if you want to find someone that probably performed something, a crime online, you first of all have to go to the police, get a police report, then the police report will now give the MTN or Airtel or whatever, a mobile company, the authorization to first of all trace, then the person now traces, then they now come back to you, and then you get information. Then a lot of times it even costs much more than the thing that you want to trace. So when you have such a process in place that is cumbersome, there are a lot of attacks that just fizzle out because, you know, the resources to chase after them is not commensurate to what you're looking for. However, it's supposed to be about the crime, not about the cost. Because if you don't stop small crimes, how do you want to stop big crimes? Because it's these small crimes that become big crimes. So cyber attacks, should I say, have evolved.
Okay.
All right. As one is grappling with one, another is coming up, because there will always be loopholes, especially because of the internet. Okay, so to forestall cyber attacks, the www the website, basically the World Wide Web, has been able to put a layer of security called the SSL security. Now, when you put in the SSL security, they will tell you that you shouldn't put your cards or your information on a website that is not secure. Okay?
How do you know a website that is secure?
Okay, so you see a padlock close to the web address.
Okay.
All right, it will tell you it's secure. And sometimes when you're trying to log into a site, it will tell you this website is not secure. Do you want to proceed? When you give your consent, whatever happens to you, happens to you. However, if maybe it's a website that you trust already and probably you have an idea, okay, this is the person that owns the website, then you probably have the confidence to put in your information. However, the challenge is that site is still not secure. You've already put your information on it, and any hacker can still visit it at any point in time and get your information. Cyber attacks obviously are performed by hackers. Regular people cannot just go and just perform a cyber attack. And you have ethical hackers and you have illegal hackers. You have people that are just hacking for fun. You have people that are just trying to do it to gain points. You have those who are doing it as country, what they call Cold War tactics. Like you have one country, let me not mention countries. You have one country attacking another country, silently and influencing their elections, like we have heard in the past without mentioning their names. So, you have different layers of attacks. But in Nigeria, we haven't gotten to the point where you start having those massive kinds of attacks. But the little ones that are happening are huge. And you don't really hear about them every day. And the reason you will not hear about them every day is because most of them can't even be traced. The ones you know are the boys called the Yahoo Yahoo boys, okay? You call them Yahoo because of the Yahoo scams. They are scammers. They are not hackers.
All right. Thank you very much, Ahmed Jayola. I think you're doing justice to that. But let me quickly quote, something from the head of Global Research and Analysis team at GREAT, Dr. Amin Hasbini. He says a significant portion of the attacks witnessed across Africa are shaped by the rapidly changing geopolitical landscape. And he talked about attacks in Nigeria, amassing about 46,000. While the same type of attacks increased to 143,000 in Kenya. He was talking about the backdoor and spyware attacks as the most common threats faced in Africa, in South Africa as well, that amounted about 106,000 attacks. But let me quickly get to our information system and cyber security experts. He has now joined us via Zoom. Prince Will Okereke is with us. Good morning, Prince Will Okereke. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you very much, Prince Will. Ahmed Jayola and I were just trying to lay a foundation for the discussion today. He's been able to talk about what he believes cyber attacks are and the various forms that we have seen in Africa and all over the world in recent times. But why do we think we have this increasing number of cyber attacks in Africa?
Okay, I would like to start by trying to paint a picture about Africa. We are mostly dependent on imported technologies. Recently, our guys within the country are beginning to pick up in terms of software development and the likes. But when you speak to security, the devices we use to protect our infrastructure, 90%, if not more, of those devices, as well as the solutions and the softwares that run on these devices, are imported. They are foreign.
Okay.
And because they are foreign, we depend on these foreign counterparts to maintain, to support. Yes, we build internal capacity, but there's a limit to your building internal capacity. And Africa is a gold mine in terms of information, in terms of the availability of resources, be it financial, be it human resources. And as the developed worlds are becoming more sophisticated in protecting their infrastructure, we in Africa are still waking up to the awareness of the risks that surround these infrastructures that we have acquired from the developed world. And that is a major challenge for us, because we have in an environment where people are relying on training to be able to defend, to be able to protect, to be able to face attacks. And when you talk about the people as well, I spoke about this. You also see a situation in Africa and in Nigeria mostly where we're not putting round pegs in round holes. Most of our employments are based on referrals. I have somebody for this role. I will send you somebody's name. At the end of the day, you find out that proper capacity that is supposed to be expected for certain roles are not there. People are just being put in roles based on who they know or where they come from. And that is another problem, because when you speak to cybersecurity, people is the most critical asset, and people will be referred to as the most vulnerable asset as well. The systems won't run themselves. The systems won't defend themselves to a great extent. They need people to man them. They need people to respond in most cases. So in Africa and in Nigeria, that is the bane of the cybersecurity challenges we are facing. We depend largely on importation of devices, importation of solutions to be able to defend our infrastructure, and the people we put in charge of this infrastructure most times are not well equipped to protect this infrastructure.
So we've been rated, severally. According to this capacity rating, we are the 5th worldwide country for online threat. I know there are a good number of companies, banks, government organizations who have IT experts, cybersecurity experts. They are putting certain things in place. Can you rate that? In your own opinion, do you think some of our big businesses are doing well when it comes to cyber security?
Okay, yeah, I would say our big businesses are doing well, but doing well is relative. Most of them are spending a lot of money, even more money than their counterparts abroad. But you also see an environment where people are more focused on getting certifications than having the critical skill set to doing the job. Most Nigerian companies, the banks and the rest, have various certifications, be it BSI, business continuity certification, and the rest. Also, they have skilled workforce that majority of them also have some of these certifications, but we're not paying attention to what is critical, which is having the requisite skill set, the practical skill set required to do some of these jobs and required to prevent some of these attacks. And I think that is where most of the companies in the country are lacking. And the brain drain, in quotes, in the country, where most of our good hands are leaving the country to the West, Canada, US, and the rest, is also a factor. Most solutions are deployed and people are trained to man these solutions. And within a short period of time, you see these people leave because they've migrated abroad, and you bring in fresh set of people to man these solutions. And that transition process, or that transition gap, also creates a window for companies to become very vulnerable. And I mean, attackers are not sleeping. It's a business for most of them. For some of them is also some sort of bragging rights. And because they are not sleeping, because they are constantly looking for loopholes, looking for open spaces to fill in, when these gaps are created as a result of migration or as a result of skill gap, they come in and they have a field day. So it's not mostly as a result of lack of investment. Having the right people, having the right skill set, and being able to fill gaps when they occur or when they exist effectively and quickly is also a major challenge that most of our companies in Nigeria are facing.
Thank you very much, Prince Will. We'll get back to you. Let me quickly talk to Ahmed right here. And Prince Will has made some points talking about why Africa is kind of lagging behind in this. He first of all talked about how Africa is a gold mine for information. As I mentioned earlier, some of these cyber attacks are mining for information. And, when it comes to business, the oil business and all kinds of natural resources that we have here, tech is even growing very fast here. And, Africa is coming up in a good number of things. And for certain reasons, cyber attacks are interested in information, they're interested in money and all of that. But he talked about how one of the major issues we've had with dealing with these cyber attacks our prioritization of certifications over the real skills. A good number of companies have employed people, to handle that aspect, but some of these people also focused on getting the certificate rather than having the skills it's required to deal with the issues. You also mentioned brain drain. Just doing a summary, he mentioned about how a good number of our best brains are moving to other countries, and it might actually really affect how we're able to deal, with cyber attackers in Nigeria. But let's begin to talk about solutions. And in talking about that, we also need to talk about what's the cost of having, what does it even mean to have a good cyber security in a company? What does it entail? For example, if I start up my company today, whether small or big, what are the things I need to put in place and at what cost?
Okay, so the guests mentioned something very crucial. People. Okay. Brain drain can only come from investing in people, and those people are not useful to you. All right? Okay, so I'll give an example to ballpark the entire explanation. When an attacker is caught in the US,
okay,
the attacker is put to work. They don't just take the attacker and put the person to jail. The attacker is put to work. We have reports of different Nigerians that work with many of these countries, whether in Israel, whether in China, whether in the US, and they are working in their cybersecurity departments, the Pentagons and the rest of them. How are we handling our own people? Are we having custom solutions for ourselves, or we are importing the solutions?
This is exactly what he meant. One of the things he mentioned. He said because a good number of the
equipment that we're buying, they don't belong to us. We don't make them.
So we rely on
them. We just, you talk to the manufacturer. That's it. What if the manufacturer is not even equipped enough to actually protect you? Because your peculiar situation is dependent on your location. These people are not daft. For goodness sake, you can't be a hacker or an attacker and you are just coming from the surface level of something that is so small. Okay, so take for example, you are doing a worm, for example, and you are putting in a worm that is not sophisticated. Any antivirus in the world can stop that just like that. We're talking something that even the antivirus will be like, okay, this is a very, very correct software, and would allow it to come in. And you can't stop it. If the entire antivirus software cannot stop it, can you? You can't. So you have to invest in people that have custom-based solutions for us. People that have experienced these things. It takes a thief to catch a thief. You have people that are, training in the ethical hacking profession. You have people that are already hackers in Nigeria that are doing it for evil, that are in the dark web. We're talking cyber attack. We're not even talking dark web. The dark web is a flourishing location on the web that we cannot even start discussing. Why? Because half the information that's about the dark web, we don't even know. These people are coming from the dark web to attack you. How do you want to trace the people? Many of the Bitcoins and many of the, applications that you're talking about right now, the Ethereums and, blockchain technology, most of them are things that have been tested in the dark web before it was brought to mainstream. Now, when those things are brought to mainstream, you as a company now say, okay, so let me go into blockchain technology. Okay, so the guy that developed the blockchain technology that you used now gets attacked by some hacker. Would the person call you? Of course not. It is when you get attacked that you will contact the person. Now, hopefully the person will have gotten a solution by then. But if the person doesn't have a solution, are you equipped to handle it? No. because you don't even know how to build blockchain. So you find yourself in a situation where you are using something that you don't really have 100% grasp of. You don't have a customization option that will make it localized to you. And you don't even have the people that can actually manage these solutions.
Well, what a point there, you know, trying to recruit the hackers to, as a part of building a robust cybersecurity.
As a matter of fact, there's a business in America called, I've forgotten the name of the business, but what they do is their job is to come to your company and tell you, we can hack you. And if they successfully hack you, you will pay them. And then they are the ones that will find
give you the protection.
Yes. Just to give you the protection. They will hack you.
Okay, so point made. But let's get back to the question I asked earlier, which is, what does cybersecurity even look like for a small business in Africa?
Okay, so
what are the key things they need to put in place?
A small business in Africa would first of all look at, how do I start this now? So first of all, email security, because that is one of the easiest and direct ways. Your mobile security. Take, for example, if you are using Android, it's much more susceptible to attacks than the Apple, products. Doesn't mean everybody should go and buy an iPhone. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm only saying that you have a company, you need to put certain, firewalls in place in your office. If you are using a router, you need some basic protection levels at the router end before it comes to your main internet. Then your internet provider also needs to be someone that, they need to be people that are efficiently equipped to stop certain attacks from coming into your mainstream internet. So when you have such a situation where you have the internet devices guarded, you have your local systems guarded, you have most of the things that you are using, have some basic securities in place, you may not necessarily need to buy the big, huge things, but just some basic things put in place as firewalls. It makes it easier for you to manage, before something major happens to you. It might just take a while.
Well, thank you very much for that, Ahmed Jayola. Now, let's get back to Prince Will Okereke. Prince Will, we're just talking about what cybersecurity or a proper cybersecurity looks like for a small business, but I'd also like to engage you on this. For a small and a big business, typical ones in Africa, what are the things that they should put in place? Hello, Prince Will. Hello, Prince Will, can you hear me? Hello, Prince Will.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, the question, we're just talking about what cybersecurity, proper cybersecurity should look like for a typical small or big business in Africa. Ahmed Jayola talked about email security, local internet security, and all of that. So what would you say companies, businesses in Nigeria and in Africa should put in place to guard against attacks? Okay, so I'm not quite sure Prince Will Okereke can hear me there. Our technical team will be trying to work with him to sort that out. So, but let's go on. You have mentioned email security. You've mentioned the local internet security. I believe that's the local Wi-Fi's and all of that. According to report, that's one of the easiest ways to penetrate into any company's system. Are there other things that should be put in place, especially for big businesses? Okay, I'm being told Prince Will Okereke is back. Hello, Prince Will, welcome back. Hello, Prince Will, can you hear me? Okay, I guess that should be the network there. I hope someone is not trying to hack. So let's get back to this. Tell us more about this security measures.
Okay. Making recommendations for big companies is going to be a bit difficult because it's dependent on the facilities that they have within their company. The natural thought is every one of these companies would have some sort of internet access, which comes back to the same thing that the small business has to do. You must have a good protected internet source. And then you now start having different Wi-Fi devices that are within your company. There are some Wi-Fi devices that have been known and notorious for allowing what they call it, certain phishing, or what they call it, some worms coming through the Wi-Fi. There are some that are quite secure. The company should have an IT professional that knows about cybersecurity so that such a person can make recommendations for them. However, you now start having cases of users, because most companies have users that are interacting with their platforms. So when you have a user that is interacting with your platform and the platform of interaction is not secure, you have a bank, for example, and your app is probably, accessing your backend through maybe an API or something like that, and then your API in access is not as secure as it should be, and a hacker gets a hold of that. That's a true put. The person will deduct a lot of money and everybody is smiling. So we need to be much more secure when it comes to both the user, the provider end, that is the company, and the user end, that is people like us that are accessing the company's database.
One of the common preventive measures I've also heard is about watching the kind of websites that you go to, just as you mentioned earlier.
Oh yes, of course.
Because there are some, websites that have all kinds of things that would, attack your gadgets.
So in retrospect, I think the most common ways by which these attacks takes place is visiting questionable websites. I'm sure you understand what I mean. For those who don't understand, porn sites, don't visit those sites. Yes, because most of the time, these hackers are sitting there and waiting. They know that these guys are going to come on board. So they're coming through those sites. If it is not coming through the porn site, they're coming through, what they call it, your emails, and they will send you funny emails and, get access to those things. Without those two accesses, the likelihood that you are going to be hacked is quite remote, except the person really has it out for you.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Jayola. I understand that Prince Will Okereke is back online with us, but unfortunately, we have to wrap things up now. But thank you very much, Prince Will Okereke, for joining us. What's your parting shot for today? Your final words on the show.
Okay, thank you. Apologies for the issues with the network. I would say cybersecurity basically is all hands has to be on deck, from your cleaner in your office, who you leave to clean your systems, who you leave to take care of your data center, to the CEO. Cybersecurity awareness is very important for an organization to survive in this era of continuous attack on cyber or on IT infrastructures for organizations and enterprises. So awareness is key. Awareness, no matter how little, be it short webinars, short meetings, short video clips, messages displayed and pasted within your environment, in any form, awareness is very important. Don't relent on creating constant awareness that these guys are out there, they're looking towards, looking to get in at us at any particular moment, and it is important that we protect ourselves at all time. As long as that awareness is built into the subconscious of every staff and every contractor that works with an organization, you have started the journey towards making sure your infrastructure is secure.
Thank you very much, Prince Will Okereke, Information System and Cyber Security Consultant. Once again, thank you very much, Ahmed Jayola, for your time.
Thank you.
From what we have said on the show today, I hope you realize that no investment is too much, to protect your systems, to protect your data, and to protect your business as a whole. My name is Olaoluwa Awe. That's how we wrap up the show for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Don't miss it.
Every day in the morning showers, 1,000 ideas drop into our minds that could make us potential heroes. But the problem is that before we're out of the shower, we've forgotten 999. So if you have an idea in your mind today that can change the world and make it better, why not exchange it with someone early? This is Early Exchange, and my name is Ayo Jimmy. Blessing, what idea do you have that can change the world today?
Well, I have great word. I need to let you know that the mind is where battles are won or lost. It starts there. So if you can think it, then you can set yourself on course to achieve it. So I hope that with the motivation you received this morning and the information you will receive on Early Exchange via news and discussions, you will be set on course winning ways.
Okay, this is Souk News, and we are first and foremost about news, about informing you of what happens in the business world to make you have a productive day. And so Olaoluwa Awe is standing by in our newsroom to give us updates of happenings around the world. Ola, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you very much, AY. Thank you very much, Blessing, particularly for that morning motivation. Well, welcome, and thank you also for joining